We tend to imagine that if we ever find life in the cosmos, they will be just as eager to talk to us as we are to them. We look for a bilateral exchange, a cosmic hello, intended specifically for human ears. For decades, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence operated on that exact logic. Astronomers trained their arrays to filter out the chaotic hum of the stars, searching instead for the rhythmic, structured pulses of a purposeful greeting. This was the mission of the Big Ear Radio Telescope at Ohio State. In 1977, this massive instrument acted as our primary ear, scanning the silence of the galaxy for even the faintest artificial whisper. For years, it heard only the predictable static of deep space. That changed on a Tuesday night in August, when the background noise was suddenly overwhelmed by a signal of staggering intensity. The readings bypassed the messy, broad-spectrum profile of local interference or random solar static. This was a narrow, concentrated beam of energy hitting the receiver with surgical precision. In that moment, the baseline of human history shifted. For the first time, it appeared the cosmic phone was actually ringing. The transmission remained at peak intensity for exactly 72 seconds. It rose and fell in a perfect bell curve, the exact signature of a stationary point in space, as the Earth's rotation carried our telescope past it. This printout captures the moment the data became undeniable. Look at this string, 6EQUJ5. Those characters represent the signal's intensity, peaking far beyond anything the Big Ear had ever recorded. It wasn't just loud, it was perfectly mathematically structured. Astronomer Johnny Amon was so stunned by the lack of random noise in these 72 seconds that he circled the data and scribbled a single word in the margin. The wow signal remains the most pristine piece of evidence in the history of astronomy. But the perfection of the data only makes the ensuing decades of silence more difficult to explain. Science begins with skepticism, and researchers immediately looked for a more mundane culprit. They checked for comets, secret military satellites, and radio reflections off the moon. Natural objects broadcast on a dirty bandwidth, spelling energy across a wide, erratic range. But the wow signal was a razor-thin spike at exactly 1420 megahertz, the hydrogen line. No known natural cosmic events align with this narrow data. Because the frequency was so specific and the patterns so concentrated, researchers found themselves ruling out every natural phenomenon in the catalog. With the natural world unable to account for the signal's precision, scientists had to confront the reality of a source behaving with artificial intent. Once the signal was confirmed as artificial, humanity did the only logical thing. We shouted back. We pointed our own transmitters at those same coordinates, waiting for the conversation to continue. We spent 40 years monitoring those exact coordinates. We used more sensitive arrays and broader bandwidths, searching for an echo of that 72-second burst. The results have been absolute silence. No repeats, no second attempts, and no acknowledgement of the messages we sent back into the dark. The data suggests the signal was a singular event. It hit our sensors once with massive power and then vanished forever. This silence suggests a transient reality. The beam likely swept past Earth on its way elsewhere, leaving us to wonder if the conversation was never supposed to involve us at all. To understand the nature of the sender, we have to look past the signal and focus on its origin. The coordinates for the wow signal point to a region in the constellation Sagittarius, far into the deep space void. This isn't a signal from the nearby neighbor. It came from a distance that makes interstellar travel or even basic communication almost impossible for us. Pushing a clear radio broadcast across that immense gulf requires an unfathomable amount of power. It would take a transmitter drawing the equivalent energy of a sun to make a signal that loud and that clear reach Earth from the deep space marker. This energy requirement tells us that whatever sent that burst is technologically superior to us by orders of magnitude. If we are dealing with a civilization that can weaponize the energy of stars to send messages, we can no longer assume they share our human social protocols. This leads to a difficult question. Why would an advanced entity send a single, unrepeated blast if they wanted to start a dialogue? If the goal were contact, the transmission would likely be persistent. The fact that it never returned suggests that starting a conversation wasn't the objective. It's far more likely that we simply stepped into the path of a targeted message intended for someone else, an interstellar memo that we happened to intercept as it raced toward a distant destination. An intercepted marker of this magnitude acts as a notification, "they are here" ping, sent by an automated system to a receiver we can't see. We have spent decades searching the stars for a neighbor. The WOW signal suggests we may have simply stumbled upon a silent alarm, and we have no idea who was listening.